Fort Townsend is so awesome, and these guys, the coffee they make, you just wait.
You can't find it anywhere.
Okay. Welcome here.
Bill.
Thanks,
how you doing,
thanks
man?
for coming by. Come on in, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Man, look at all these beans. How many different kind of beans do you bring in?
We have beans from every corner of the world. Indonesia, Africa, South America, Central America. I'm sure I'm forgetting somebody. Like a lot of coffee roasters our size, we buy our coffee through a broker. They go to origin, to, you know, Honduras or wherever, and buy coffee through individual farmers, through local co-ops, and they buy big lots and they ship it over on a big boat to a warehouse in Oakland, and that's how it begins the journey here.
Nice. So what we're looking here is, this is we're seeing the beans as they're being roasted, correct?
Yes, that is what they look like right now, and this roast is actually going to be done in about 2 seconds.
I wish that I could portray on the camera the smells that we're getting here.
Yeah.
Oh my God, the aroma.
Nothing like fresh roasted coffee.
Nothing. I mean, really fresh roasted.
So here we go. We're going to start with the method of the French press, and while we're doing that, we're going to do the while it's steeping, we'll do the AeroPress. So you know, there's always, you know, people tell you how to do it, how to make coffee. I say make it as strong or as weak as you like. It's your personal preference. Just follow the basic guidelines and you'll be good, and just go from there, either more or less for coffee. I'm just going to put some hot water. You want it at least 190 to 200 degrees. Okay, so we're going to let that steep. Now, okay, so this is the AeroPress, and it's a really cool little gizmo. The guy who invented the like a frisbee whammo ring with the hole in it, he hated all the hotel coffee he was drinking, so he decided to make his own little coffee maker that he could take with him when he goes to hotels. So we're going to do 1 scoop of this. Okay. Now what I do is just, now I'm going to plunge it. It's kind of like a French press, but a little different. And we're just going to push down. And it's going through a little filter. And this filter, it's a paper filter, and you can reuse them. But also, they have a mesh one, but I like the paper filters because it takes out some of the oils in it, and that takes out some of the bitterness. Okay, so that was pretty quick. And the other beauty, yeah, so what's really cool about this, now what you do is you just take this off, and either you can rinse it and reuse it, and this is like a little hockey puck, boom, right into your recycling, rinse.
We don't have to.
There. And what I like to do, you can smell, and like wine, you slurp it over across your tongue, and you're going to feel different places in your tongue where you taste it, and it's a little hot. It's amazing. Now we're going to do the French press, and it's been about 3 minutes, wouldn't you say, ish? You can do it like 3 to 4 minutes, depending on the strength that you like. Ready? Get a little.
Ooh, tell by the color already.
A little strong, and this is the French press. Oh, we're going to do one more tasting. Okay, so now we have that one, and we have that one. Okay. Okay. See, now this is a lot.
But it's different in palate.
Yeah, you taste more of the citrus, winey
Yeah.
flavor to it. 3 different methods and 3 different grinds of coffee, or yeah, 3 different grinds of coffee. So some people, they always go to the machine at the store. They're like, how do I grind it?
Right.
Well, after you've learned the proper grind that works for your method of making the coffee,
And your coffee bean.
right, I always tell people feel the grind, because a lot of machines out there grind differently because, you know, maybe they're manually set by somebody. So get in touch with your grind, know what it is to make a really great cup of coffee. And you can do this at home too. I mean, this is like a fun Sunday, you know.
When it's raining outside.
Yeah,
like it does up here
right.
in
You know, just
Northwest.
yeah, you get a couple coffees and, you know, come home and make your, you know, your French press or this or that, and yeah, it's really
Well,
easy.
Thank you again. And
Yeah.
give me an elbow.
Okay, elbow.
All right. In the top. We are in the seaport of Bremerton at a little place called Harvey's Butter Rum. And they make the most incredible drinks and popcorn and such. Come on in. You're going to enjoy this one.
Let's see if Jimmy Stewart's here.
I heard he was.
Today's Toffee Popcorn Day,
Well, it's exciting.
so the neighborhood loves it. Ew, let's go on
Awesome.
in. Come on in. So this is kind of our dry storage area. So you can see it's pretty full with a lot of different things right now, because besides our hot buttered rum batter, we actually do specialty popcorns under the Harvey's label, and then Casey's kettle corn. So we have boxes that are ready to go out, and then we have packaging and some equipment back here. They actually have to break the toffee up when it's warm, you know, when it's warm, so that it's in the pieces in the bag, yeah, so it doesn't stick together. After it comes up the conveyor belt, Eric, it goes into the hopper, and this is a scale that weighs it out.
Oh, so you have exact measurements in each
So we have measurements, And so
Always my favorite part is the tasting.
The tasting, but it's the favorite time of year too.
It is. I mean, there's no better time for a good hot buttered rum, and Harvey's is the best.
I noticed on your website you have all these recipes. And my favorite one, like I was talking to you earlier, that I'm going to try, is the pork chop. But instead of a regular pork chop, a loin chop or whatever, I'm going to do it with a smoked pork chop. And I think it's going to come out divine.
You know, Harvey's, it pairs, Jeff, it pairs so well with different flavors. You know, it's got the sweet with the spices, but to add a little of smoke or like the cayenne, it really pairs well. We actually have a shrimp dish on the website, kind of a Caribbean style recipe. And anyway, it's just, you know, it's unexpected.
I like those kind of flavors together, though.
And then over here, I was playing, we actually make cheesecakes for the Admiral, exclusively for the Admiral Theater, New York style cheesecakes made with Harvey's. And they have a Harvey's crust, and then the filling itself is your traditional New York style, and then we swirl Harvey's.
I can
So-
see that.
For the holidays, you guys get to try this one first. This actually, I was playing and I thought, let's do a pumpkin. This pumpkin's so popular, so I actually added part of the batter into the pumpkin, and then we also swirled the Harvey's. So you get that double dose of the crust and then the Harvey's pumpkin filling. And then
I'm starting to drool here. I think it's
we're going to finish off with some whipped cream that has been flavored with
Harvey's.
So that's just another little quick thing, some whipped cream. Instead of any sugar or anything, you just add a little bit of Harvey's and you have all.
That is lovely. It's subtle, it's rich, but it's not overpowering sweet, it's not overpowering creamy. It's just impeccably balanced, but the texture's absolutely amazing. I could never get a texture like this when I make cheesecake. Well, this is what we've been waiting for.
With bated breath.
Exactly. So what goes in first on the best Harvey's hot buttered rum?
So we put a nice heaping spoonful of the batter. That's the
Okay.
magic, that little yellow tub of love right there.
Okay.
It is so rich and yummy. So we're going to just put a little bit of that in there.
And does the alcohol go next or the water?
You know what? I generally put the alcohol next. Would
That-
you
I
like
would
to
think
help
that.
me with that?
I would love that. So why don't we do one traditional rum and then two of this beautiful Heritage Distilling brown sugar bourbon. This is a great product.
It's wonderful, and they feature us on their menu where they do a hot Harvey's brown sugar bourbon on their menu. And some
That one was a little generous. Oops. Oh,
it's
darn.
the holidays.
It is the holidays.
It's the holidays. So then we're just going to actually add a little bit of hot water here. I had that ready to go, and it's just going to be nice and warm and steamy here. And these are actually pretty big mugs. These are actually
Yes,
very
they are.
large. They're a 14 ounce, so I'm just going to not fill that all the way.
No, we don't want it all full, or I'll have to add more alcohol.
More alcohol and more Harveys. You know, one of the things, especially these days, there are people that don't like to indulge with alcohol, and there's other drinks that you can make. One of my other favorites is hot apple cider.
Oh, I never thought about that.
So you
this
heat
would
up hot apple juice or apple cider and stir in some Harveys.
The smell is amazing, absolutely amazing. Do you sell stock in the company?
No,
This,
not yet anyway.
I mean, I don't know why I keep getting so much apple flavor in here, but the butter, the rum, it all comes together so beautifully. I have never had a hot buttered rum even remotely this good.
Well, I'm not a big fan of popcorn, but I eat this.
Can't say that anymore.
Oh, man. And that's a serving size, right?
Well, there's a couple servings in here.
I say thank you so much for having us. We're so excited to have you on Tasting the Peninsula. I mean, one of my favorite shows.
Thank you. It's just an honor.
And I'm so happy to be here because Rainy Daze is one of my favorite beers. And they make so much that I haven't had. Right here in Poulsbo.
Right. Well, I've had their beer a couple times. On their dark beers, I'm really impressed with the flavor profile and everything.
Hey, Bill, how's it going, man? Give me an elbow.
Nice to see you, Bo. How are things?
Good, how are you doing?
It's a good day when we're going to have beer.
Well, you're in the right place.
Well, beer is generally made from four things: water, barley, hops, and yeast. But the secret is in the ingredients. And this is where we start, because when you're making wine, you have to work with what God's given you, the sun, the microclimate. Here, everything is in the hands of the brewer. It's like anybody can have paint, but not everybody can paint a masterpiece.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
you make a drinkable masterpiece, my friend. Tell us about your malts.
Quality beer starts with quality ingredients. That's one of the main tenets here at Rainy Daze. We've got malt from across the world, really.
What do you use these barrels for? What do they add to the beer?
Barrels add a number of things to the beer, depending on the characteristics of what barrel you're using, what's been in that barrel before, how many times it's been used, where the barrel came from. We've got multiple different types of barrels. In addition to bourbon barrels, we also have some rum barrels.
Ooh.
And we've got barrels of all sizes. We've got some wine barrels as well. And each one of those barrels is going to add certain characteristics, like I said, depending on what's in them, and also just the tannins and the character of the wood. We've got a great selection here at the tap room. We've got this Hazy 8 in cans. We're putting a lot more beer in cans these days, given the current climate out there. So we have 7 offerings in cans currently, in addition to the 16 on tap here, and you'll also find us out in the market.
This is, I have to admit, my favorite part of touring a brewery.
the best part.
Exactly. So what do we have here first?
Right there first, we're going to start on your right-hand side and your left-hand side. That is our classic Disturbing the Peace Hazy IPA. Very citrus forward in the taste and the aroma. Real soft body, contributed by flaked wheats and oats.
And Citra hops?
5 different kinds of hops in that one. So it's an amalgamation.
I love that.
Thoughts?
It's all of your wines, all of your beers have a beautiful balance to them. I mean, they're not attack at the front and soft in the end. They're well balanced, and this just carries you all the way through the taste sensation. I really like it.
Yeah, I agree.
What do we have next?
Next is a beer we like to call Mind Funk. I'll give it no introduction but that. I would invite you to sample the aroma and the taste,
Golden
but
color.
look at the color.
That color is beautiful. My goodness.
Very small effervescent.
Looks like a pale, drinks like a stout.
It does. It does.
Oh my God.
Consider your mind funked.
Does this see any oak?
It does not. Nope.
Oh, wow.
Potentially, maybe sometime down the road, we could do some of that. This is one of our cult classic beers that kind of catches people by surprise there.
Definitely knock my socks off. I'm going to have to stop the camera so I can put them back on before we go anyways. Wow.
So the technical term there is white stout.
Which I wasn't familiar with.
Absolutely.
I like it.
It's a very light colored malts, but again, the grain selection and the addition of cold brew coffee. I hope you guys aren't going to be spun up for the rest of your
That's
day.
what I mistook for wood.
There you go.
Oh, it was the coffee. Damn, I can't believe I missed that. Wow. I like this.
To finish our tour, as I said, we just celebrated our 8th anniversary. So in homage to that, we couldn't have a big party like we usually do, given the guidelines. But we did create a beautiful beer, as we typically do. It's in the hazy vein, but it's a hazy double IPA with the name Hazy Eights.
Hey, you like Crazy Eights. I love
The
it.
hits keep rolling.
And that is a Kill Bill reference.
A lot of references there. So this is a good swirl. This one, again, combination of hops. Utilizes some down under hops, Galaxy and Motueka.
Galaxy and what?
Motueka,
I'm not familiar with
amongst a few others.
Wow. Quite different.
Yeah.
You know, that is one of the lesser hopped IPAs that I've had because it doesn't slap you in the face, but it's right there.
It is there.
It's just kind of subtle, but still there.
As far as taste and story, bottles versus cans.
That's an interesting concept that I've been going back and forth in my mind. When when news of the can shortage first started leaking out there, I said, all right, let's go back to bottles. Difference there, storage in cans is, some may say, better because there's no chance of light,
Right.
which would affect the beer. Even with the amber bottles, which is why most beer bottles are brown, you still have the chance of light getting in and light striking the beer, and that does create off flavors, as strange as it may sound. So with that regard, cans would be better for storage. A lot of people go back and forth between tastes better out of a can, tastes better out of a bottle, tastes better on draft. But most of the industry had moved into cans, both for that storage factor, and it's also a financial factor. Glass is not as inexpensive as aluminum is. And so you've seen many breweries across the industry moving into cans.
Well, and we've gotten past that initial reluctance to drink beer from a can because we're not talking Coors here. But enough people have recognized the quality beers that people like you are putting out. So there's not really that stigma anymore.
Absolutely. And there's a wide array out there on the market, for sure.
We were in Monterey. We went to a restaurant on Cannery Row, and they had a really nice wine list and a lot of aged bottles were 750s and little split bottles. Well, the poor pauper I was at that time, I ordered a split of Lewis M. Martini cab. It was probably 10, 15 years old.
In a split.
In a split. And that's what got me to lay wine down, because you had full body, you could taste that friggin' grape. You could taste all the components of the wine. If I had a vintage that was that year, it'd tear the roof of my mouth off.
Because back in that day, they vinified wines to show their best in 8 to 10 years.
Yeah.
Splits age at almost twice the speed of a 750, and 3 liters, half the speed. So, enough about glass.
Yeah.
What do we have in front of us, my friend?
Same goes with beer. You know, conditioning
Yeah.
is key. It's differing amounts of times for different beers. We don't have any lagers on tap right now, but those obviously condition for a way longer period of time than most of your typical ales. And then there's a certain amount of beers that you don't want a lot of conditioning to. What we have here is the last of our fresh hop beer from this year.
I love fresh hot beer. It doesn't have much of a life on it. I mean, what, 30 days?
Season. Oh yeah, the quicker the better. So I wish you guys could have been out here, I want to say 3 weeks ago. 3 weeks to a month ago. Fresh hop beers include hops straight off the vine to the kettle as quickly as possible.
So when you boil your wort, you often add hops then to get the bitterness, but the aromatics disappear pretty much. And so then you add the hops at different periods, and by adding fresh hops at the end, you get that beautiful flavor that we're about to experience.
Nailed it. So this beer is our fresh hop strata beer. These strata hops came from Southern Oregon. We had one guy in the van grabbing the hops from the farm while the other guy was here starting the brew. As soon as the hops returned to the brewery, it was just at the right time to send the wort over the fresh hops and into the fermenter.
I love fresh hop beer. I really do. Expensive to make though, isn't it? Because fresh hops are probably a lot more.
They're a bit more expensive, and there's the time constraints and the travel involved. And it's also, like anything, you know, it's the touch. Because it can go extremely right or extremely wrong. This one was exclusively the fresh hops.
Oh, really?
A lot of times brewers will throw some extra pellets, a little pop. Other hops that we brew with most of the time are pelletized or cryotized. But this one was exclusively fresh hops. The only hops were that came through the kettle, and the fresh hops that it went over. And it hit the fermenter. And we said, that's perfect.
But this is so beautiful. I mean, I just absolutely adore this beer. Well, thank you for having us. I have really enjoyed this, especially this part.
It's been truly an education.
Cheers. Thank you all for coming out.
Cheers to you guys.
Rainy days.
And tasting the peninsula.
Hear, hear.
I am so happy we got here, because Eagle Harbor Winery is one of my favorite wineries. They do some beautiful stuff.
Well, this is another little diamond in the rough.
I want to see where the magic happens.
Okay, I guess we'll have to go over to the back room.
Well, you know, most people see the bottle and they see pictures of all these beautiful barrels, which I can't wait to talk about.
Right.
But they don't realize the precise chemical analysis and the scientific knowledge that goes into making these wines. I think it makes a difference between a good wine and a great wine sometimes. And this is where you do that magic, yes?
Well, we do some of it here. We measure certain characteristics. We do free SO2 and complete SO2. We do malic acid, lactic acid measurements. We do ABV.
Yes.
So we do several things here. Obviously pH. But for more complicated things, we send it to the laboratory.
Well, I know this isn't a glamorous, romantic, but it's integral to a good winery. So I wanted our people to get a chance to see it.
Sure.
Now let's go into those beautiful barrel rooms.
Sure.
Well, tell us about these forest designate barrels.
Well, I just found, you know, American oak imparts certain flavors to the wine that were not part of the profile that I appreciated. I
Well,
just
they're
like them.
wider pores too. They're not as tight as this
They're
would.
not as tight, and they tend to give you characteristics of vanilla and coconut versus the French oak barrels, which tend to offer more spice and they enhance the fruit in different ways. So I really worked hard to find different coopers and different barrels from different forests. I like to use the Trancé forest designates for the cabs. We use the Juppie designate for the Merlots. I like an Aie Vosges combination for my Francs.
See, this is a level that most people never see. What's unique about these forests, you notice she's referring to a forest. These forests have been hand-grown by French coopers for 400 years. I mean, they plant the trees, they make sure that they grow the way they want them, they pick the prime ones, and they make barrel. This barrel has been babied for at least 40 years, and that's before they even cut it. Well, the reason that she has to keep topping them off, she and Hugh, are that as the wine goes into the wood, it picks up flavors and it comes out. This is reliant to temperature. But also, they used to call this the angel's share, because the distillers mostly would fill up a barrel and they'd come through a year later and there'd be some missing. And like, where did it go? This is in the 1700s, 1800s, and they didn't realize all the nuances of oak. So they said, well, it's the angel's share. And it's called that to this day. Well, I think we might be able to taste some barrels if Emily was right. Let's head on over there.
This is a Cabernet.
Oh, that color.
The color and the aroma.
Oh, I haven't even gotten there yet.
The aroma went right through my neck.
Oh my goodness.
I should say that we don't do barrel proof.
I know. Well, we very much appreciate that. I know you don't normally do that. I was rather shameless in suggesting it, but I really wanted to. Oh, my goodness. Guys, this is beautiful, and I haven't even put it in my mouth yet.
When I got this glass, I had my mask on. The aroma, it does pop, exploded, exactly, exploded.
The elegance, if I had to pick one word to quantify your wines, it's elegance. I mean, my goodness.
My tagline is always, my goal is elegant, balanced, approachable. And that's what I want to create.
And I have to say, she's doing a pretty good job.
Oh, she did it here.
Yeah.
Got a home run here.